All right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention.
Hello, everybody. This is Don the Predator Frye. We have another double D's in your face Q&A here. My guest is Art Del Cueto. He's you the VP or the president of the union?
I'm the national vice president.
Oh, the national vice president. Forgive me. And send somebody over to break my legs, my kneecaps. Dan Severn's not here today, folks. I'm sorry, but Dan had a terrible accident today, and we're all praying for him. And we ask you all say a prayer for him because Dan was in Ohio and was touring a marshmallow factory and fell in a vat and ate his way out and OD'd. And he's kind of coming, give and take, come and go. But he's pulling through. If you all give us a good prayer, and I know Dan's tough enough to pull through, and they'll get the rest of the marshmallow off of him. And all he needs to do is take a real good big dump, and he'll feel better. So with that said, welcome here to Toxic Masculinity. Let's get after it. Art, who's fucking up our border down south there, man? The thing's a fucking mess.
It is a mess, man, and it's the policies of the current administration. Yeah, and then you look at the fentanyl. I mean, we're being overrun by drugs right now.
That's the fucking Chinese. That's the Chinese. And I think the Bidens too, fucking Bidens are owned by the Chinese, shit.
So what they'll do is they're sending the raw material to Mexico, and then they'll produce it in Mexico. Once the raw material is there, then they'll fabricate it, they'll bring it across, and it's coming. It looks like the sweet tarts now, the old candy sweet tart. That's how they're disguising it. And there's even been a couple of reports that they're bringing it across, and it looks like the chalk that the kids use to draw on the ground. I mean, they just any way they can bring it across. I remember when I first started doing this job, we'd get excited when we'd have big loads of marijuana.
Yeah.
Now it's meth, it's cocaine, it's fentanyl, it's heroin. The heroin's coming back. It's
really?
Just insane.
It's fucking ridiculous, and we're all sitting around with our thumbs up our asses, letting it happen. The fucking government's laughing at us. The more they get away with, the stronger and braver they get. The less they respect us, and they just piss on us.
Look I talk about it all the time.
Look at how the FBI is.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
But I see it often, and when you have the leadership themselves saying there's not a problem, I mean, it's just a slap in the face. I talk to agents obviously all the time, and you get the same story as, hey, we're out here chasing people. They're fighting us. They want to fight. They're putting other people in danger. And then when we apprehend them, we just release them.
Yeah.
And this administration doesn't care. And then you have agents doing their job, and if they so much as drop an F-bomb against the people they're trying to arrest, all of a sudden it opens up this big investigation, and now the agents are under investigation for months and months, sometimes over a year, because
abusive language.
For abusive language. I've seen it. It's crazy. It's insane. You have a guy that's running from you, and he's throwing rocks at you. And when you apprehend him, he's punching and elbowing you and trying to bite you.
Yeah.
And if you say the F word, you're the one under investigation.
Right.
I mean, how can you do your job?
You can't, and that's what they're counting on.
Hey, man, it's always good seeing you, Don. I'll tell you what, and I've seen you throughout the years. It's always a pleasure to see you, man. I'll be honest, and I was pretty stoked you were on my show.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you very much.
That was a blast having you there. But it was weird because so I know how you are at times, and you have this persona but you still get kind of nervous and you're a little humble about it a little bit still sometimes.
About what?
When people say that they're a fan of yours and
Oh,
they grew up watching you and all that, and I'll tell you what, people always ask me, hey, you had Don Frye on your show, and how is? I said I've run into him so many times, and seeing you when I grew up, obviously, and being from Cochise County, and you were a firefighter, and I was a firefighter before. I did
yeah,
wildland firefighting,
yeah.
and it was just you have that. I don't know. It's just there's something about you, brother. You have that glow still. You still got it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we talked about you being a wildland firefighter when I was on your show. How long? I can't remember. So, how long were you a wildland?
Not long, man. I did it for about a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I moved out of Cochise County. I came up to Tucson, Arizona, and I started working out here. And I got a job I started working for the state prison. And then after that, I transferred over and I went to the academy and went to Border Patrol. And I was, I've been one of those loudmouths, I guess, for a long time. It's funny because my classmates will tell you, and one of my classmates is now the guy in charge of the station that I work at.
Yeah.
And some people think, well, as I got involved in the union, that all of a sudden, I started being more vocal, and that's 100% not true. I've been vocal and
Always had a mouth.
back for what? I think it's my upbringing and where I grew up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is bullies, bro. I've always had a problem with bullies, and I think unfortunately you have people that will get into law enforcement and they'll move up in the ranks,
Right.
and now they think they got some position of power. I like to say they got a new pair of tennis shoes, so they think they're running stuff now, right? and you see it all the time. And I call them out. I call them out all day long because you have young agents that'll come in and they're impressionable and they want to do the right thing, and this is the job they've been wanting to do. And then you have the older guys, and ribbing is okay, right? I'm not
right. Right.
what I mean? You gotta rib the guys a little
You
bit.
gotta have some fun, or else you go insane. You'll
Exactly.
go insane.
Don't be malicious about it, but it's fun. And I remember when I first joined, there was a couple of guys that were like, they would try to punk you a little bit. I remember one particular individual. We were out on patrol, and he had said a story of another young agent that fell asleep. When you first joined, they have you two people, right? Your journeyman and yourself.
Right.
And one of the guys said, so and so fell asleep, so his journeyman got upset, pulled over to the side of the road, kicked him out of the car, and said, "Find someone else to ride with because you're not going to fall asleep with me."
Oh, geez.
Right? So I heard that and I said, that's a little bit much. I said, I mean, I wouldn't put up with that crap.
Right.
And the guy looked at me and he says, I'll do that to you right now. And I kind of laughed and I said, "No, you won't. I will take those keys away from you, and you're the one that's going to be stuck in the desert." Like you're picking on the wrong guy, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I was serious, and he was serious too. And then he kind of laughed and he said, "I was just joking." And I looked at him and said, "No, you weren't. You were trying to punk me, but then you realize you can't punk." And a lot of those individuals, they get promoted and then they try to punk the young agents. And that's a lot of the reason why I started becoming more active union wise, is because I was seeing a lot of that. I was seeing that some of these guys that are in management positions would take it too far. And that's why sometimes I still get upset when we're on the news and we're talking about the issues that's happening on our borders, and then they'll have some retired boss or retired chief
Right.
that all of a sudden he wants to speak. And I'm thinking, dude, like, where were you when you were talking, you could have made a difference?
Right.
Now you're talking, but where were you when you could have made a real difference?
They're trying to sell that book.
It's bingo. So once they've secured their retirement and they secured their second job and they did whatever they want, now they're coming out and saying, "Oh, now I want to help."
Right.
Now bro, I needed your help when you were making policy. I don't need you to talk now when you're trying to sell your book.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all those little things, man, especially now where everyone is so thirsty to get the border immigration issues out there. You see it with these retired guys. You see it with, you know, candidates, politicians, and everyone. All of a sudden, it's the hot topic.
Well, hell, it's a hell of a topic. You know, I remember, back in 1996, when I was fighting in the UFC. I was getting ready to go to a UFC 9, and I was at the airport, Tucson Airport, and the front page of the Tucson paper said illegal crossing up 185%. You know, that was back in 1996, you know, and you know, that's when McCain was
compared to those numbers and now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've had over 2 million, well over 2 million under this administration. We've had over 1 million gotaways under this administration. That's reported.
Right. And we don't know how many of those are fucking Muslim terrorists, you know?
Well, we don't even know the real number.
Right.
I've said it. Like, so the way they count gotaways is literally footprints in the sand.
Yeah.
That's how archaic the system is.
It's just guessing. Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to a couple of people that are running for office, and they said, well, what we'll need to do is we'll need to put more cameras and sensors. And so for what? So you can tell me more away?
Right.
I need policy changes. What we need is policy changes. We need to bring back Remain in Mexico. That's the number one important thing.
Yeah.
For two, you need to get some of these immigration judges and these asylum officers, instead of hiring 87,000 IRS guys.
Right.
You know, all they got to hire is 1,000 more, if that, immigration and asylum officers. Have them work at the border, detain the individuals that are coming across, and when you detain them, you fast track their asylum claim. That alone is going to drop it. There was a candidate, and that he's a congressman out of Texas. His name is Henry Cuellar. He's a Democrat out of Texas, and he said that of the individuals that are coming into the United States currently illegally, that are claiming asylum, less than 7% are actual asylum claims.
Right. Right.
So if you know that number, why aren't they doing something about it?
Absolutely. Because, you know, the thing is, instead of having these 87,000 IRS guys, like you said, just 1,000, and that would equal the 87,000, the money the new IRS agents would collect, you know, because it'd save us that kind of money.
No, definitely. And that's why I tell people got to do your homework, man. You know, especially around election season, you get people that are I promise I'm going to do this. I promise I'm going to do this. How are you going to do it?
Yeah.
You know, it's even more difficult, I think, for individuals that are running for state positions, because there is that division of the federal government. So there's only so much that some of these people can do. There's only so much that a governor can do. And I think it's very dangerous to promise that you can do something when realistically you have to look at the federal government and what laws they have. Mm-hmm. And part of the problem. And I think, you know, I hear it all the time. Well, I'm going to vote for this person because they're the better of the two evils. Well, yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. But how did we get to those positions where you have to vote for the lesser of the two? And it's just, it's frustrating. So frustrating.
Yeah. The less smelly piece of shit, pile of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And our position within the council is candidates come to us. So when we first endorsed President Trump, and it was the first person that we had ever endorsed for president in a primary, right? Yeah. Was President Trump. He came out to Arizona, and he
was a good choice.
Right, we did pretty good. He came out and he reached out to us. So I believe you had Hillary Clinton here at the time. I think Bernie Sanders was here at the same time. And they all asked the agency leadership here in Tucson, hey, can you show us around? President Trump called our union office and said, I want you guys, the boots on the ground, to tell me what the heck is going on.
Right.
That's a big deal. So it's funny because, you know, we endorsed, after that, we started endorsing in the primaries, which I sometimes cringe. I think we shouldn't endorse some people in the primaries because the generals come around and people get upset. And they're like, well, you didn't endorse me in the primaries, And it's like, look, water under the bridge. Let's
Right.
move forward. Let's try to take care of our country. Let's take care of different things in the state. But some people, I mean, they still get upset over it. It is what it is. But we need to move forward from that if we really want to fix things and if we really want to care. And then we can't have the attitude. Like, so if I'm a candidate, I got to come to you and say, hey, Don, like, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to offer. Can you endorse me? Do you like my views? Ask me questions. But I'm the one applying for the job if I'm the candidate.
Right.
You didn't have to come to me and say, hey, man, you want my endorsement? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. But we have some people that just, they'll sit there and they'll say, well, if somebody wants to endorse me, they can come to me. Well, I'm not applying for the job.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Right. I'm not looking for your approval. You're looking for mine.
Right, exactly. And some people just don't figure it out. But I think we're at the point right now where the candidates that we have that are not from the left radical positioning, those are the candidates that we got to make sure to get in there, because I don't fear just for my safety, but I fear for the future of the safety of many generations to come.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you got up north there, in Pinal County, they got those big signs that say "Careful, this is a drug trafficking zone." Enter at your own risk. What the fuck is that all about? This is the States of America. They should be worried about us.
That's exactly it. Why are we worried? And you know what? I remember during the last election cycle, we would talk about it, and I would talk with some of the individuals were the candidates or the people that assist the campaigns. And one of the things they were concentrating on, they'll concentrate on the Latino vote or the law enforcement. And I said, look, one of the things that people need to concentrate on is you got to knock on them doors of the housewives. The housewife, you got to talk to these housewives and say, look, you're a soccer mom and you're taking little Billy to soccer practice while there's a predator right around the corner that wants to sell him drugs.
Right.
Because that's actually what's happening.
Deadly drugs.
These kids, they get injured and they get hooked on painkillers, and next thing you know, you got these guys, these street thugs selling them heroin and selling them pills and everything else. And that all is a domino effect because of the issues that we have on our nation's borders, and people don't get it. They think it's, oh, well, you just want to stop the dishwasher from washing, dishes at a Denny's. You hear that all the time, and I hear it from them. Me being Hispanic, when I hear that, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, man. What does that mean? You think they're all coming here to wash dishes?
Yeah.
Like, I'm Hispanic. I don't even wash dishes at home.
Yeah. Neither did I. That's one of the reasons I'm divorced.
Yeah. Well, hopefully my wife doesn't see this episode.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
But it is. I mean, it's difficult times, man. To be honest, and you mentioned, you got these people that are carpetbaggers. Yeah. Well, like, I grew up here, so I grew up on the border. I was born on the border. I was raised on the border. I lived on the border. I continue to work here. I continue to call Arizona my state, and I don't want our state to go to crap, man. To be honest, I got kids here. I got an older son that's down there in Cochise County. I got 4 grandkids in Cochise County. I got my young daughter here in Arizona in Tucson. I want what's best for all of them and their generation. And people just don't get it. When you look at people like the Biden administration and those guys, they've built their money probably, and they're done, but they're just so greedy that they want to do more. And at what price? What price? At the price of this country, and it's just horrific, man.
Well, the lives lost too. Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.